All right, you're going to see something crazy here. I'll show you my apparatus here in a second. Hopefully this works. You know, you got to remember, I'm working by myself out here. I don't have any extra hands. I mean, I can call somebody, but, you know, you're trying to get this job done. So you got to come up with ways how to work by yourself, how to get by on your own. All right, so let me show you what I had to do. This is kind of crazy, so be careful. I got a hood prop tool right here that's pushed against the hood and holding tension with this ratchet, okay? I took my 19 millimeter with a long extension, put on the harmonic balancer bolt. When I was doing that, I was holding this guy in there, and I was holding it with my left thigh, pushing down my right hand. My left hand was guiding the belt onto here to turn it. So when you are working with these things, this right here, again, it's just pot metal here, okay? What people do is like, man, just need like a 1/4 inch more and I'll have it. So then what they do is they pry on it real hard and ends up breaking that ear off, okay? So you don't want to do that. You want to, if you have to, roll the belt onto the car like I just did. You do not push that thing any farther than it should go. I'm going to easily let that go. Tension off. Okay. Now, when you're doing it like that, what I just did, I was also very careful where I placed my fingers. I like my fingers. If that thing would have slipped and my finger would have been between the belt and a pulley, that would have been awful. Okay. So be careful you're going to do it like that. Another way I tried was I was trying to use a ratchet strap from like when the bar was right here. I was going to hook it to right here, but I ran out of length of my ratchet strap. And then, of course, I didn't want to put it anywhere down here. I don't want to damage the vehicle. So that's what I came up with. So now that I got the belt on there, I'm making sure it's in the grooves. Make sure it looks pretty lined up, which it does. Make sure that it's all in the grooves. Crank is on and everything else. Whenever I put a serpentine belt on, I always start with the crank. Crank is the biggest pulley. I've never seen a vehicle, I'm not saying there's not one out there, but at least the ones that I've seen, I've never seen a vehicle where the crank goes on last or second or anything. You pretty much put the crank pulley on and then put the rest of them on. If you can put a pulley on, or the belt on with a pulley that's flat like this alternator or rides on the back side of that, that's a lot better to do if you can get by with that. Because I had to overcome the lip of this alternator and it was really hard. But anyways, I got it by turning the engine, okay? So now we need to check our cooling system real quick, see if we have any leaks. Before I do anything else, I'm going to take this overflow jug here, and I'm just going to, should just be able to pick up on it like that. It has a little slot, doesn't have any bolts or anything that holds it down. And I'm going to just pour the rest of that out in there, because that is not going to be any good. And I might even try to just spray this dude out real quick, clean it up a little bit because it looks kind of gunky inside. Alrighty, I got the coolant jug here looking a little cleaner here. I aired it out and everything, took the air hose and blew it out, cleaning the outside so that way when the customer pops the hood, they can say, hey, that's a nice looking coolant jug. It looks like somebody did some work here. All right. Take and wipe that dude off and put this back over in here. So, just for now, clip this back on here where it belongs. Okay. So now, we're going to do something else here real quick. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit before I put any coolant in there. I want that the silicone. I'll get it right here in a minute. I want to get that where it's nice and clean. So this is also in here for spark plugs, and I'm going to take a look at this valve cover gasket, see if it needs to be replaced. I see a little seepage here, which is not to be that alarming, but for right here, I might do it, I might not. Alright, so actually the valve cover doesn't look that bad. As long as the spark plugs aren't soaked. I'm going to use a 10 millimeter socket to get these coil packs off, and that's actually also what I use to remove that beauty cover there. Take these coil packs and pop them out. That one's clean, and that one's clean. That one's clean. And that one's clean. Okay, so now I'm going to zap those spark plugs out. I got my 5/8 socket. I'm just going to look down in the holes real quick, make sure there's no trash. I wouldn't think there would be. The coil's on there, but just make sure. Okay. All right. There's one. I usually like to lay them out in the order I took them out at. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, these guys are looking pretty old. Looks like they're in need of a change. So we're going to do that. The spark plugs I'm using are, in my opinion, the best spark plugs you can probably buy. Just the NGK, tried and true. I've been using NGK for a number of years, and I use it in almost most vehicles that I work on. I put NGKs back in there. So I'm gonna put it back in here like this. Oh yeah. Let's see. I torqued it. Let me look up my torque spec, or my gap and torque spec. Let me find that real quick, which is right here. So spark plug gap, I've already gapped them. They're 39 to 43 thousandths. Pays a half hour in labor, in case you're wondering. And we're going to torque them down to 14 foot-pounds. The water pump, those are 80 inch-pounds, and this job paid 1.4 hours. If I did the valve cover, which it doesn't look like I'm going to have to, it'd be about 0.6 hours. Air filter, 3/10 of an hour, and cabin filters at 3/10 of an hour. So I'm going to show you how to do all that stuff too. See, I got that guy started by hand here, and I've already gapped these spark plugs. I think I've gapped them all about 41 thousandths, one right in the middle. Also put a little anti-seize on there. And okay, so I'm just going to start all these by hand. And then we're going to torque them down to spec. So I got them all torqued or snug. And now I got it set to 14 foot-pounds. That one's done. Okay, that one's torqued. Okay. Okay. Those are all now torqued to spec. Give me some of this grease in here for the spark plug boots. Put them down in there. If you notice, I didn't even disconnect them from the wiring harness. Just try to be careful when you're doing that. You don't want to pull them too tight. And now I'm going to put my 4 coil pack bolts back on. And I want to make sure not to go very tight with these because they're only 6 millimeter bolts. And if you wanted to, you could tighten those down, find a spec, but really don't see a need in it. I'm just tightening them down easy with this. I'm not going very slow. Okay, and now I'm going to go through with my quarter drive ratchet here. Make them nice and snug. Okay. I decided that the valve cover was not necessary. I thought we were going to need to, but I don't think we're going to need to. So we're going to put this guy back on. Put that on there like that. We're going to get these cap nuts here. Put them on. I'm going to use my quarter drive ratchet. Snug them down pretty good. Okay. Now, let's go over here and I'll show you how to replace your air filter. So your air filter housing has a 10 millimeter here and a 10 millimeter there, and then it clips in on the back here. And what you have to do is, after you take those tins out, you have to kind of like pick up on this end and tilt it, and you should be able to sneak that filter out of there. So I got my tin here, my tin on the back side. Sometimes you may have to take the mass airflow sensor off, but you shouldn't have to on this, if I remember correctly. And I'm just going to sneak that dude out of there. And not the worst looking one, but they're in here for the service, so yeah, it's, I don't know, more looking, I can see a little more bugs in there. So I'm going to get me a new air filter here. We're going to use the Federated brand. Take it out of the box here, we'll slip it in there. Kind of sneak it underneath here like this. Okay. And now what I want to do is, it's a little tricky, but you have to like pick up on it like I was saying with my hands there. You got to pick up on it, get it in the back side, let it fall down in the back first. And then we can tighten it down. See if I can get it in there. There we go. I'm just being real careful with this too. There we go. All right. And that is how you replace the battery. Or not the battery, the air filter. So now we're going to do just a transmission drain and refill real quick. I got the dipstick pulled up right here. And so we're going to put up in the air and drain from the bottom. This is a 10 millimeter drain plug for the transmission. Like I said, this is just more of a drain and refill. So you take that guy, crack him loose, and I'm going to see if I can do this without getting covered in transmission fluid. Now, this right here is just about a 4-quart solution. Transmission fluid actually doesn't look too terrible. But anyways, it does not get all the transmission fluid out. It only gets 4 quarts. I'll have to look up to see how much this thing takes. But it's probably, I don't know, 12 quarts. But a little bit's better than nothing. It's always good to do this every now and then. Yeah, transmission fluid doesn't look too bad. And I'll look at the torque spec for that drain plug. So I'm looking at the torque spec. We'll let this thing drain. I'll come back to you. I put the drain plug back in, and I got my torque wrench to 36 foot-pounds. 36 foot-pounds. Okay, got that dude in there, and now I'll have the drain pan underneath here. I'll take some brake clean and make sure you get that off of there. So I run out of brake clean right in the middle of my video. That's okay, because guess what? I got more. Okay. So brake clean that off and good. I'm going to make sure that I made sure that I have that radiator drain right here nice and tight again. And then I noticed there's some spillage here of some antifreeze. Well, that's unacceptable. We don't want that. So I'm going to spray it down as best as I can here, making sure that you get all that residual stuff off of there. You don't want your customer coming back in, you know, hey, I parked this in my garage, and guess what? I got oil leaks, or I still get antifreeze coming in, or whatever. So trying to make sure I spray them off good. I think we're good to go. So now I want to let it down, and I'm going to put that little cover back on with the 10 millimeters that goes right there. So we're going to let this guy come down a little bit. We'll put that cover on. I'll do just one more quick inspection. Just make sure the belts are on and everything's good and tight and looks good to me. So, this guy in here like this. That plastic clip broke that holds it on the front side there, but I may see about getting a new one to put on there. But right now I'm more worried about trying to get these two bolts in. I'm just going to snug these down. Remember, it's just a 6 millimeter bolt, so it does not take very much torque at all. It's a 6 millimeter bolt, but you're going to use a 10 millimeter socket. Okay, so I'm going to put it on here like this. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to put my wheel and tire on, and these are torque to torque spec 76 foot-pounds. When you're putting your lug nuts on, make sure the acorn part faces towards the rim. Acorn part right here, the tapered part, it needs to face towards the rim. Okay? Not put it on there backwards, like some people I know. And if you're watching this video, you know who you are. My brother. Anyways, okay. So, alrighty. We are going to put this hubcap on. This part right here has to line up with the valve stem. Like I said earlier, that hubcap's not meant much. It's not long for this world, I don't believe. Got to make sure that we get this. There we go. I want to make sure to get that tucked back up in there, that wheel well. I want to make sure it wasn't going to hit that tire. And I'm noticing these front tires are going to need to be replaced soon. All right, so let's put it down and put some transmission fluid over in it. Alrighty, I got my transmission funnel, and one thing I always do, I like to spray out with brake clean, make sure you get any pieces, parts out of there. And transmission, or in my funnels, I keep them in a bucket over here, and I keep a towel to go over top of them, just to keep all the dust and stuff from getting in there. If you look on your dipstick, you will see, I don't know if you can read on here, but it says Type 4 Toyota transmission fluid, which I just happen to have a bunch of. So we are going to start putting some of this oil in there. I'm gonna start off by putting probably 3 quarts, and then I'll start it up and run it, and then I'll see about how much it takes after that. But it's always easier to add to it. It's not so easy to take it out. So my suggestion to you, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using about 4.5 quarts on this. My suggestion to you, though, is to put 3 quarts in there. We'll start and run it, go through the gears, and all that good stuff. Before I do that, I've obviously got to put antifreeze back in it, and I got a cabin air filter put on it, and the wipers. So stay tuned. While we're over here putting transmission fluid in, I'm going to go ahead and connect the negative battery cable. Nice and snug. Make sure that doesn't turn. Battery looks to be pretty good. Okay. Alright, I just put my 3rd jug in there. Okay. So I'm going to let this stuff drain over in the engine oil drain pan. And then I'm going to grab this funnel. Oh boy. Yep. And then I'm going to pick it up and hold it like that, so that way it doesn't spill over the customer's car. Okay, the next thing I want to do is, like I said, I'm trying to let that water pump get as much time sealing up. It's been about probably a little over an hour now at this point since I put it on. So trying to get as much time as I can. we're just going to lightly shut this hood, and we are going to replace the windshield wipers. So let's go to the passenger side. Got to take my, and you can see why I'm replacing the windshield wiper. So there we go. See, that's how you do it. All right. Now we're going to put the 19-inch one. And it should just click right in place. And we'll take our little pieces off here. There we go. Now it's in place. Alrighty. So that's how you replace the wipers. Here is the part numbers for them, in case you wanted that information. So now I'm going to replace the cabin air filter, okay? If you look right here, there's a Phillips head screw you need to take out. What this is for the little shock absorber that keeps the glove box from just flopping down, right? A lot of people break these things off and everything else, and which is not right. So we're going to put that here. I'm going to click that dude off of there, okay? So now see how floppy the glove box is without that? So I'm just going to push in with my right hand, push in with my left hand. I'm going to squeeze it together, and just kind of drop that down. All this stuff might come out of here. So might as well just go ahead and drop her on down, okay? All right. Now, I reach in here, and I want this, have to get you guys here for a better look. Okay, so I'm going to take and push in on these two tabs with this white part here. I'm going to carefully pull this out, and ew, look at that one. Sorry about the camera here. Pretty nasty stuff, right? So we're just going to take this thing like an accordion. I'm going to squeeze it together. I'm going to pop that dude out of there. And now I'm going to get my new one, which is a federated one. There's a part number in case you want to use the same one. You can do this job yourself, save yourself a few dollars. We're going to get this one. Now, I want you to notice it says airflow and it's pointing down, okay? I'm going to get this little odor treatment stuff here. This is a good thing you do for your customers. You spray this on your air filter here for your cabin, and it makes it smell nice, and the customers now know that, you know, you've actually done something because it changes the smell. So now I want to use this as an accordion, kind of like. I'm going to push that back into its spot here. I'm going to push this in like this, pop it in there until it's underneath those little tabs right here. I made sure the airflow is facing down because what happens is that the blower motor, when you turn your AC on, the blower motor spins and it sucks air in and then distributes it out to the cab. So if we got that in there like that, I'm now going to push this up. But as I'm doing that, I don't know if you can tell or not, over here with my right hand, I got that little shock absorber, right? You hear that click noise? That click noise was those two pieces that I pushed in earlier. So you want to hear that click noise. That means it's locked into place. Now, I need to find a little screw, and I put my shock absorber in place. I got my Phillips head screw. I'm going to put that on here. I'm going to screw this one down. Not all of them take a screw. Some of them just pop out like that. Some of them take, you know, there's different types of, whatever your make, model, manufacturer, what they want it to do. It's how they do the cabin air filters. I will tell you this, some of them, like Nissans, they are typically a real big pain in the butt to do. The Toyotas, in my experience, have always been really easy to do. I mean, you know, that paid 3/10. So if every tenth is 6 minutes, that just paid a technician 18 minutes to do that, and I got it done like in 5. So you as a customer, you guys just saved yourself a few bucks learning how to do that. It wasn't that hard. Usually cabin air filters aren't hard, but like I said, sometimes they are, just kind of depending. Okay, so now we got that all back together. I put the stuff up in the glove box and put it back like new. Notice that my hands are clean. Did not get in there when it was dirty. And now we are going to put some antifreeze in this thing. Let's see how the cooling system checks out. Alrighty, I'm going to demonstrate for you this really cool tool that I have. It's an air lift. It has all the directions how to use it. And what we're going to do is this thing's going to actually pull a vacuum on the cooling system. So it's going to remove all the air. And then what you can do is you shut it off. If it holds a vacuum, then your system should be sealed. It's a really neat tool. You don't absolutely have to have this necessarily. Some vehicles, when you drain the cooling system, like your older Celicas, I had a hard time bleeding all the air out. So what this does is sucks all the air out, pulls a vacuum on it. You'll see your hoses collapse. And then you make sure that it holds a vacuum, like I said, holds a vacuum for a minute. Then it'll actually force the new antifreeze back in. First thing I want to show you is there are different cones and cups. You got to figure out which size fits your correct size radiator neck. This one for this Toyota fits this one. So I'm going to put it down in here, and then I'm going to screw this valve right here. And what that's doing, that is actually expanding that little cup I just showed you. Well, in theory. Of course, it worked when I didn't have the camera rolling. Try that again. Put that on there. And it should be making a pretty darn good seal. And now what we're going to do is, we have that on there. Well, we'll try this one then. We'll put the longer cone one on here. That guy right here. We'll try that one on here. Put it down in there. And it should be sealing around the top of your radiator cap here. Where your radiator cap goes on. Okay, I got air pressure to it. And what it's doing is pulling the cooling system to a vacuum. Look at that coolant hose right there. See how it sucks shut? Look at my gauge. See it's in the green right there? So what I want to do is let it pull a vacuum for just a minute. And it's at 25. So now, sorry about that. So now what I did was I turned this little valve right here. And I'm watching this gauge. And you see that it's like at 24. Okay? And it seems to be holding. So I'm going to disconnect this line. This is a quick connect line, kind of like your air hose. So like I was saying, it's kind of like a quick connect for your air hose fitting. All right. So now I connected this line onto it, and this line right here has a screen. I'm going to put this in my bucket, which has about 2 gallons of antifreeze in it. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to hold this down, and I'm going to flip this valve, that is. I need to hold this in the antifreeze. I'm going to pull this valve, and now that vacuum that I put on the cooling system is now sucking the antifreeze, the clean antifreeze, into the cooling system. What I'm going to try to do is to make sure that the end with the screen on it stays in the antifreeze and doesn't come out, because I'm not trying to suck air into the system. This is the best way to not have air in your cooling system. If you have air pockets in your cooling system, one thing you will notice is your car may overheat. You turn on your heater and there is cold air coming out. So having air in your cooling system is not a good thing. Another thing, if you don't have this tool, I want to show you this neat funnel here in a minute that I also use. Sometimes if you can find a hill, I think it's about done, and you park your car at an angle where the radiator cap is at the top. So in other words, you park your car with the car facing uphill, like a steep hill. That will help in this situation as well, as far as getting air bled out. So now I'm done with that. It's pretty much forced air all into the block of the engine and everything. I'm going to open that valve up and try to let some of that antifreeze drain out back into my bucket there. Okay, I am now done with this cool tool. There are certain vehicles out there that you have to use this tool on. It's just too hard getting the system to bleed the air out. But anyways, nice tool. Now let me show you my funnel. Okay, this right here is called a spill-free funnel. And actually, I got two of them. And I keep them in all the parts in this bucket. I did a video on this before. It's called a spill-free funnel. And I got the caps for it. Here's all your pieces, parts. You'll notice they're all colorful and nice. So there's different types of radiator caps, obviously. And this one right here is a type D. And it's this right here on the side, it says D. So D goes with D with the older style. I think I got type C, which is the blue style. There's type A, B. Let's see here. And like I said, they're all color-coded. Makes it kind of idiot-proof. Like this right here is type B, which is a popular style. Type B goes with that. And we're using type C on that one. Okay. So I've got some coolant still left in my bucket. And we still got to fill that radiator up just a little bit. So now I'm going to pour that in here. And when you're using this funnel, you should see, when it's taken, you should see it go bloop, 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 until it's filled like it is now. If you see that antifreeze just going straight down, that means there's a leak somewhere. You better check your shoes. Your feet are going to be getting wet. But you should see it basically go like that. I'm going to massage the hose here. But you should see it go like bloop, 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 like that. All right, so looks like the radiator is probably full. This is another good way to get air out of the system. I'm going to take my hand. I'm going to squeeze the upper radiator hose. I'm going to take the plunger here, pop that dude in there, pull it out, and see, hardly any drips. I'm going to take the residual that's left over. I'm going to put into my overflow. Put a little more in there. Okay. And now, just drain the rest of that back in that bucket. Take my cap off here. I'm going to make sure to put my overflow connector back on. But this one here, I'm going to get my radiator cap and put it on here. And boom, we should be ready to go now. Okay, so now I'm going to get a hose on it, run it outside, and we're going to let this thing run. I'm going to shift through the gears because I got to put transmission fluid back in. I only got 3 quarts in it. Okay, so got antifreeze in it. I went through, I put in reverse, neutral, drive, and the low gears and back through. So I basically went through all the gears and held it there for about 2 or 3 seconds. It's now back in park. I'm on a level ground. Let's see here. If you look on the dipstick, you have a cool and a hot. I'm down here below cool. I'm going to need at least 1 more quart. So I'm going to get my fancy dancy funnel, get my Type 4 Toyota ATF, and I'm going to let that go in there. Now, I'm going to let this thing warm up for a little bit, and we're going to, or I'm going to go through there and shift through all the gears and let it idle for a little bit. But we'll come back to you, okay? So the car has been running for about 5 minutes or so. I went through the gears a couple times. Transmission's still cold, but if you look right here, you can tell right there I'm right in the cool section. So now the next time I pull this dipstick, it'll be after a test drive. Remember, I am in park. The transmission is cold because it has not been going down the road shifting through all the gears. I'm going to keep an eye on the heat and the temperature gauge as I'm driving down the road. Since I had the battery unplugged, I need to drive this thing for a while because this car needs to learn how to drive again with all the computers and everything that had to be reset because I had the battery unplugged. So I'm probably going to drive this thing probably a decent amount. I would say probably roughly 20 miles anyways once this weather clears up. But yeah, I hope this video series helped you guys. If you have an '05 Toyota Camry, I'm sure this is good for other years. I just don't remember off the top of my head what generation this is and how long it goes for. But anyways, there's a lot of information covered in here. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Drop a like for me. Please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Really does help me out a lot. Watching the videos helps me out so I can help you guys out. Okay. Share this video as well if you know anybody who's got one of these cars. And I mean, that was a lot of information in this video series. So thanks for watching, and please stay tuned because there will be more videos coming to you in the future. And we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day, guys. And as always, God bless the USA. See you next time.